there an unknown going into an elimination game with a group for the first time?
Yeah, I guess if you put it that way, if you've never done something, there is preparation and previous history and experience probably dictates what to expect, which is when the stakes go up, this group has responded well. If you're using last year's playoffs, because this is round one, so even this year, we had to fight our way through to get into the playoffs through a lot of different things. So anticipate this group. Well, I know this team will be ready to play. Just you got to play and play well in the situation we're in. So that's what our focus is on. How can we play better? How can we help the players play better? They'll be ready to go. They know what's at stake. So I'm not concerned about that at all. It's playing the right way. We got to play the right way. Play better than the opposition. They've played pretty well.
Bruce, do you try to approach it as much as a normal game as possible despite knowing what's on the line?
Yeah, I think the players, everyone knows what's on the line. If we don't win, we're done. So, I don't need to tell them that. We're trying to approach it with what can we do better from the last game, some of the things they've done to give them an advantage, and still talk about the positives we have accomplished. Again, it was a game we're tight game like a lot of them in this series that got away from us in a short period of time, and we have to get over those hurdles better. That's certainly an area that we were very good at last year, and this team has in them with their experience and competitiveness, so we've got to pull that out of them.
You said prior to Game 5 that you were kind of piecing. You said prior to Game 5 that you were sort of piecing things together on the fly, and if it didn't work, you keep trying things. What are your thoughts about
like piecing in terms of
your
personnel?
Lineup, lines, formations, etc. What are you thinking about tomorrow so far?
Well, we put Dorofeyev in. We're looking to get Stevie and Stoney more consistently a factor. As I said, there's reasons why Stoney's playing catch-up. We understand that. So Barbashev went up there, so he may go back there. I liked what Barbie did with Nick and Coley, or Nick and Will. I think Barbie can complement different lines. So was it too much for Pav? It's a tough spot to be put in your first game, but he was here all year, and you got to be prepared and ready to play. So a couple of puck battles I thought he could have been better on, and then penalties sort of took some players out of the game that we know have been there. So that was what happened with Pav's minutes. So we'll look at them again. I didn't mind Hurdle with Jack and Marsh. I think they did some good things. So we may go back to the familiar line with Nick Waugh, with Kolesar. I think they know what we're getting every night. But at the end of the day, whatever the lines shake out, there is going to be some level of newness because of how we went into the postseason. So that's just the reality of it. So we'll go with some familiar lines, but there will probably be someone that hasn't played with someone a lot just because of who's come into our lineup.
It's a strange time to be searching to find your best game. You talked about it last year, how you finished like that. You were really going well when you got into the playoffs, and the team hasn't played its best game. Is that in one sense kind of a positive for you that you can be better?
Well, it is a positive. We have another level, I believe. But you got to do it, right? I can talk about it all day long. You got to get out there and do it. So that's what's in front of us. Having said that, you make assumptions you have another level because this team never played together, right? Game 1 was the first time, and then you take Nick Hague out, so it was one game. So you're just assuming that it'll have another level. And we've saw pockets of it throughout this series. We just haven't done it for long enough and well enough. So that's what's in front of us. We got to be more consistent for 60 minutes. We're not going to be – no team plays a full 60-minute game every night. It doesn't happen in this league, even in the playoffs. But we got to get closer to that and over the hump. So That's what we need. And I believe that there's another level in there. And tomorrow night is as good a night as any to get after it and get to it.
Bruce coming in, he talked about adjustments throughout. At this point, you guys know each other, both teams. Does that make it easier for you for the guys to just go out and play maybe and bring their best? Don't overthink it, just play?
Yeah, I mean, both teams are trying to create more offense against good defensive structured teams. I mean, we can see that. We know one of the things they're trying to get out of the zone quicker, and just get in foot races, punted pucks, pucks that are flipped out. We saw it with the Dadonov chance the other night and behind us. We saw it a number of times, and we started transitioning better against that, knowing that, okay, you're not going to have a lot of time. It's a loose puck situation, win a race, and then it's up to our forwards to work back and support. So I think we're starting to counter some of that and get some offense from it. So we've got to keep building on that. But other than that, they're locked in the middle of the ice with their center because that's not allowing us to get through the middle with speed unless there's a turnover, a quick transition, right, or a poor line change. We've tried to do the same thing. They've gotten through there more than us because of us mismanaging pucks, right? Like that's been our Achilles heel this series is they've gotten more chances off our turnovers than we've gotten off their turnovers by a fairly, we keep track of this, a large enough margin. And so, that's an area of the game that we have to be better at. And that's not an adjustment, Nides. That's puck management. That's understanding you got to make hard plays. You're not going to be perfect, but we need to be better in that area. And I think it'll temper some of their offense and temper some of their skill guys feeling good about themselves. And then what happens usually is if you're not getting your chances, are you going to start to cheat for them or not? And that's where teams can break down. And I don't think either team has really started cheating for them. It's two disciplined teams. We just haven't executed at the level we need to. And that's where, going back to Gary's question, is there another level? I believe there is. We just got to execute better under pressure from them. They're doing a good job. We got to execute better when our opportunities arise. And that's going to give us more offense. I don't think it's like saying, well, we're going to go into a different formations in the ozone. Of course, there's a few things you can do, but at the end of the day, it usually comes back, we need to execute a little cleaner, that whatever play it is to get towards the net better. And some of those have slipped away on us, and some of those have come back at us, and that's where we need to be better.
Apologies if I misunderstood, but it sounded like you might be considering putting Barbashev in another spot again tomorrow.
Well, he may go in with Stevie and Stoney. He played there in one of the games where we moved Hurdle up. And that's just shifting some of our left wingers around, because of, if we're going to use Thomas on the left, where does he best fit, right? Or we're moving a center out of there, which we tried with Stevie and Thomas and Stoney. And, the combinations have been okay, but we're just trying to find the one that kind of locks us in the best. And it's not ideal to do that in the postseason, but when we didn't get a chance with Stoney to see who we play with better on his left side, and same with Hurdle coming in a little later. So that's kind of where we're at, and we've got to get an answer to that. But even take that out of the equation, Ashley, they're all good players, and eventually you just got to play, and as I said, execute. And then, some of the chemistry will develop, and some of it won't.
I was curious with him in particular, what makes him so easy to plug in different situations, and you trust him in an elimination?
Well, he can play a skill game. We saw it with Jack and Marsh do his part to add to skill, right? He's good at getting to the net. He's good at getting the pucks off the wall. He's a 19-goal scorer, so he can finish. We've used him down low in the power play. He can make some small area plays. So he has the ability to read and play with top players. He's also comfortable playing with the more direct. It's what he did in St. Louis, won a Stanley Cup playing in that role. So he understands the value of that game too, chip and chase more than maybe line rush. So he can vacillate between the two. That's what I think, is a compliment. He's played both wings. He's good. He's an efficient player, effective player in those different roles. He'll still bring physicality on the forecheck. So usually it means you have a certain level of IQ to understand what makes the line function, and he's good at reading off whoever he's playing with, and he's a winner, right? So you want winners in your lineup, and you sort of figure out, okay, get to work and play like a winner, and you know, that then the line or the D pair doesn't always matter if you have that mentality.
Bruce, you mentioned plugging players back in the lineup, some that have not played together until this playoff. Did you figure this was going to be a challenge to find chemistry on the fly, or is it a bigger challenge than you anticipated it even might be?
No, I figured it would be a challenge. And I think if you probably went back and before the playoffs and one of these, I said it's not as easy as just, it's not fantasy league where you just put in all the names and it automatically happens, right? There's work involved. There's the other team that's the number one seed. There's guys that haven't played in a long time and never mind regular at the highest, you know, high level of playoffs, and it takes a while to get to your game, and that it's not automatic. I think that was actually one of the beauties of watching Mark Stone last year, how quickly he got to his game from a major surgery. It's just those things aren't always that easy to get to. So we're working on it, and it looked like in the first 2 games we were coming along, and then game 3, no. And then game 4 and 5, as I said, yes, it looked like we were getting better. I felt the team was playing pretty well. We're in the game and no one's dominating and we were playing well. And then we got ourselves in trouble with some game management. I'll just leave it at game management. And then the game gets away from you a little bit, and against a good team, like you're chasing it. So when you're chasing it and you haven't been together a lot, that's when I think it's a little easier to like the first 2 games. When they're chasing it, you're just going out doing your job. Doesn't matter who I'm playing with. We're just managing pucks. We're playing the same way. Solid defensively, getting offense from defense because we're ahead. You know, when you start chasing the game offensively, now you're trying to make plays that maybe the chemistry that you don't have really would help you because you're trying to catch up. So that's what we've bumped up against the last couple of games.
Are you superstitious at all? Like, did you?
No.
So you didn't put your suitcase, didn't leave it out so that you could repack it tomorrow or anything like that?
I'm not a superstitious guy in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. It's just I'm routine oriented. I will say that. But if I forgot a pair of my lucky underwear, and I would not turn around and go home and get them. So let's put it that way. I'd wear the ones I brought, or I'd go purchase a pair, Gary.